Why should you be given a pardon? What's your case for having a pardon?
This isn't about me, it's about us. But the public, by and large, cares about these issues far more than I anticipated. And so it's led to this wellspring of support that I'm incredibly fortunate to receive. But more than anything, the key here is, what kind of society do we want to live in? Now, I don't run the campaign. Again, I'm not involved in it. But what we're seeing is a conversation about the war on whistleblowers that's been occurring easily for the last decade, but of course has escalated under the most recent president, who brought charges against more whistleblowers than all other administrations combined. And this is a chance for the public to have their say and to think about how they feel about this. And the only thing I can do is stand to the side and be thankful.
Eric Holder said recently that you'd done a public service. Looking at it from the outside, you think that would help make the case for having a pardon from Obama?
If not for these disclosures, if not for these revelations, we would be worse off. Yes, there are laws on the books that say one thing, but perhaps this is why the pardon power exists, for the exceptions, for the things that may seem unlawful in letters on a page, but when we look at them morally, when we look at them ethically, and when we look at the results, it seems obvious that these were necessary things, these were vital things.
You said that you're prepared to do jail time. If you're prepared to do jail time, that's an admission that you did something wrong.
I'm willing to make a lot of sacrifices for my country. That should be clear at this point, I think, since I've had to live in exile for the last 3 years. And I lived in a very comfortable life before that. But volunteering to give up more doesn't mean an admission of guilt. It means being willing to pay costs to do the right thing. And ultimately, I think our country is better off if the government feels comfortable as we feel comfortable, but only in the right way. What I won't do is I won't serve as a deterrent to drive away whistleblowers, to shut the public out of the room in which our democracy takes place.
When we were in Hong Kong, you spoke about the dangers of mass surveillance. It seemed benign, and the idea of tyranny seemed kind of far-fetched. But now recently we had Donald Trump say, I wish I had these sort of phone hacking powers. I think he said, honestly, I wish I had that power. I'd love to have that power, to use the intelligence services to spy on political opponents.
I think this is less about a particular presidential candidate, even though we have an unprecedented race in terms of the sort of authoritarian policies that are being put forward, and more about what we're not hearing. We don't seem to be hearing much about the Constitution during this election. Nobody seems to be talking about the rights of the public. Instead, we see a lot of negative statements about how people are going to hurt people, how they're going to attack our enemies. And I'm not sure that the direction we want the world headed in, or what makes America great as a nation, is how many people we kill. Rather, I think it's how many friends we make, how many rights we spread, and how many freedoms that ultimately we stand for.
Do you think Oliver Stone's movie has the power to change public opinion in the States?
I'm not much of an expert on movies, and it's always difficult to talk about it because people ask me, what do I think? What do I feel? How's this going to work? The answer is I really don't know. I've always been a little bit allergic to media, but I feel like I have an obligation, given I've been placed on sort of this platform with a voice, that I should use it to try to get people talking about the issues. But media, the way that we tell stories sort of around the world, the way we get people to think about things, even if we go back to fables, is through characters. So the idea that I'll be used as sort of a mechanism to get people talking about what surveillance means today and how it affects their lives and what they can do to exert some influence and maybe changing the direction of the world toward a better place. That's something that I'm happy to be doing, in fact, proud.
Is the Snowden movie a sort of marker? It's 3 years on, and maybe after the Snowden movie, things will go quiet.
When I came forward in Hong Kong, as you recall, I was really hoping that I could avoid being the topic of conversation, but the media wouldn't let go. Because again, they wanted those characters. They wanted to be able to tell that story. I don't think the importance of these issues has diminished. And I think the conversation will continue. But I would hope that we can have other leaders who come forward, other people who champion this cause, and I'll be able to fade into the background.
Ed, many thanks.
Thank you so much.